Hey, what's up, guys? Know it's been a while since I've posted any videos. I've been super busy, bought a new house, got a bunch of crazy stuff around here. Uh, just managed to somehow make a little bit of time to get back into the RC, and in doing so, I decided to buy one of these guys. Most of you guys must have seen this before. It's the Flysky FS-iT4. It's their new remotes, I guess, transmitters. It's kind of funky looking with that orange, but it's the only one they had in stock when I was gonna order it, and I decided, what the hell, it doesn't bother me at all. So well. Anyways, since I bought this, I decided I wanted to make full use of it, and I was trying to see if I could find something that I could make use of it. And so with my crawlers, I guess I could use the four-wheel steering function, but you know, we could already do that with the other transmitters with the hack. So I decided, well, let's try and use the telemetry on this thing. With this transmitter, you get a bunch of little goodies. Of course, you get the receiver, which I can't even focus on right now. Alright, that's the receiver. It's a 4-channel receiver, and it's got those little 2 plugs there, which I'll show you what they're for right now. Then you have this guy here. This is supposed to help you to use more servos than what you normally would use with that receiver. In a way, I guess it sends the signal from the receiver to this guy, and then that sends that signal out to some other servos if you want to use more than the 4 that receiver can control. Haven't used it yet. I really don't know how to use it very well yet, so once I get to using it, I'll post you guys on what it's capable of. I'm sure there's some videos on YouTube already on it, but I haven't really looked into those. You also get this guy here, which is the speed sensor, so you could tell what speed your car is actually moving. It's got the little magnet somewhere in there. There is this. That's the little magnets in there, and then you got the pickup sensor there. And you also have blah 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 temperature sensor. That's the sensor itself. This is a little module, and all these, they go connected in line, and then they go into the receiver itself. And then you have the voltage sensor here, so you can know what the voltage in your battery on your car is at that time. Anyway, enough of that. You can find more on that transmitter and receiver online. A lot of YouTube videos on it. You know, a lot of people know much more about it than me, so they can instruct you better on what it's good for. I'm just going to be testing it on something that I just got here, which is this. Now, I'm sure you guys could tell what this is. It's got a little bit of modifications here and there. This is originally supposed to be a Traxxas Funny Car. The reason I got this is because when I bought the transmitter, it kind of had the same functions that the Traxxas transmitter has for the Funny Car. Well, not the whole, you know, burnout stage and all that stuff, but as far as telemetry with the temperatures and the speeds and all that. So I figured this would be the perfect car to use it on, because I could get really high speeds and, you know, get the readouts on that, get the temperature in the motors, you know, all those things, so that I could show what the transmitter can do. Of course, I don't like to use anything stock, so I decided to change it up a bit. So this is no longer a Traxxas Funny Car. It's actually a Dragster. I kind of like the look of it better. I wish I didn't have to use that front bumper, which I adapted to work there. It's supposed to go on the body of the Funny Car, but I went ahead and put a couple zip ties right there to hold it in place, and it works perfectly. Like I said, I wish I didn't have to use them, but because of my reckless driving, I kind of need it. Okay. The original ESC that comes with this car is limited to 3S. I guess they worked together with Castle to make that ESC. Originally, the Castle ESC could hold up to 6S, but for some reason Traxxas decided to keep it at 3S limit. I guess it's because of the high kV motor they use on this car, and maybe they decided, hey, you know, 6S is just way too much for this car. They wanted to keep it at around 75 miles an hour tops, something like that. Anyways, I decided to go with my trusty Hobby Wing C-Run, which is at 150 amp ESC and can hold up to 6S. Now, it wouldn't make any sense to have that big ESC in there if I didn't put a stronger motor, or bigger at that. So I decided to go with, if I could focus on it, with my Leopard 2000 kV motor. The can on this motor is actually 40 millimeters by 74 millimeters. It's pretty big if you kind of look at it from this side. It's about 4 millimeters wider than the original motor that comes with this car. It's about, I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Traxxas motor is about 2600 kV. I think, somewhere around there. This one is 2000. All that means is it has more torque, it has less speed. But because we're using a higher cell count on the batteries, we're going to be able to get actually more speed out of this motor than the Castle motor that goes on the Traxxas at full 3S setting. This car I'm actually going to be running on 4S. I'm not even going to try and venture into 6S, not even 5S. Why? Because I've done the numbers, and with 4S I should be able to hit close to 100 miles an hour with the gear ratio that I'm running on it, and hopefully I'll be able to actually control it at that speed. I'm not sure yet if I'll be able to. More than likely I'll be breaking a bunch of these steering components, and more than likely I'll break that wing off, and I'll be breaking a bunch of parts before I'm ever able to reach that 100 mile an hour mark, if I'm even capable of reaching that speed. But I have more than enough power here with this 5000 milliamp battery. It's got 60 continuous C discharge, 120 burst, which is really high compared to the 25 C rating that the Traxxas batteries have. So in a 5000 milliamp hour 4S battery, this is way stronger than any Traxxas battery made for this car, and it's actually the biggest thing you can fit in there. As you can see, it's gonna fit right in there, but barely. So it's gonna look kind of funny, but I've actually measured it and it actually does fit in there if I were to take the other battery out. I have a 2S battery in there for testing. This is the biggest battery you'll be able to fit in there at 4S power as of right now. I couldn't find anything else. If you find something else, then go with that, but as of right now, that's the biggest I could find. Anyway, whole idea, I went ahead, kept the 68 tooth spur on the transmission. I could have gone with something smaller, but I decided that was going to be okay. Once I tested it with 2S, the motor has enough power to take off extremely fast, so it's not like a limiting factor with the spur. I'm actually running 21 tooth pinion on that motor. The highest I've seen people run on it is 18 tooth, but that's with the other motor, which doesn't have nearly as much torque as this. So because this has much more torque, I'm able to run the 21 tooth pinion on it, and it still takes off extremely fast. As a matter of fact, too fast for me. I've had to lower the punch on the ESC so that I could actually control the takeoffs on this thing. It's just, I just don't have the skills to control this thing when it takes off really hard. One day I will, hopefully. Anyway, that's going to be the one thing. Now, the other thing. Like I said before, I have the 4S for that. But, because again, I don't like to keep anything stock, and I kind of like to play with my toys. I don't like to just keep them and just run them the way they tell me to. I decided to get me a 2S battery, which is tucked in there. You know, it still fits in there real nice. That is 4600 milliamp hour battery. It has a 90 C discharge continuous, and I want to say like 120. Let me see for sure. I'm talking here like crazy. I could just pop this open. Let me see, where's that? make sure I'm giving you the right numbers here. See, I was lying. Oh Lord, how dare I? There, this is not the 90C one. Alright, this one has a 65C continuous and 130 burst discharge. It's more than I need, and it's actually 4.2. What the hell was I thinking? Anyway, 4.2, that means 4,200 milliamp hours. It's really good for the size of the battery. It's extremely light, extremely small, fits nicely in there. This is 2S. Now you would ask, why the heck would I use a 2S battery with a slower motor on a car like this? Well, because I'm not going to be using these tires. In fact, I'm going to be using these. Yep, sand tires. Now I love these tires. I've used these tires with my other builds, with my XR10 and my Thing 2 and all that. These are beautiful tires. They're amazing. They grip any terrain and they're ridiculous. Now this is not the exact tire that I used on those rigs. Those were the 2.2 size. This is the 2.8. These are sand paws. They're just bigger and badder than the ones that I used on the 1/10 scale sand cars, whatever, Formula off-road ones. Now as you can see, they're a little bit taller than the ones that comes with the car itself. Now the reason I'm using the, of course this is not gonna fit, sorry, don't even know what I'm saying here. These tires have to be glued. They just didn't fit into my bead locks into these wheels, and most of you guys from watching my other videos will be able to tell these wheels actually came off the Exceed Matte Torque. The reason I used these was, one, because of the offset, and two, because they're 17 millimeters. I tried to go with the 17 millimeter because it is a much bigger hex and it could take more abuse, because in the sand you put a lot of abuse on those hex, and 12 millimeter and 14 millimeter just ain't gonna cut it. So I went with 17 millimeter. Now for that, you're gonna have to get adapters to actually fit it to where they will work with the Traxxas Funny Car. Now I don't know that there's any adapters out there for my Traxxas Funny Car. I could not find any. Now here's what I did. I went ahead and found me the adapters, because the Funny Car uses a 14 millimeter. I went ahead and found the adapters for the Revo, the E-Revo. The E-Revo they sell a lot of adapters for the E-Revo where you could go to 17 millimeters instead of the 14 stock. Now you're going to run into some problems, of course. All this I'll explain on other videos if you guys need help with that. But just real quick, these adapters, they actually have a little screw that goes in the middle. It's kind of like a shaft, really, that holds onto the axle itself, and that's what tightens the adapter in. Well, that shaft on a Traxxas Funny Car is actually 4 millimeters, the little threads in there, and the ones on the E-Revo are 5 millimeters, meaning that these adapters do not fit the Traxxas Funny Car. I mean, say that again, they do not fit this Traxxas Funny Car. They're for an E-Revo. What you're gonna have to do is, you're gonna have to actually take that little tube that comes with that little pipe thing that threads into the axle. You're gonna actually put turn it around, drill through the other side, and make a 5 millimeter hole so that that side is gonna actually bolt onto the axle, and then on the other side, which was originally supposed to bolt into the axle, you're just gonna have to put a 4 millimeter screw in there so you could tighten it in and tighten it out. Of course, you're gonna want to glue that screw in there so it doesn't come out. Anyway, I'll have to go into a lot of detail into that one later. But anyway, it works. It fits in there, it stays in place, and blah, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, that's what I'm going to be running at 2S. Now again, I'll explain. I'm using 2S because of the ridiculous gear ratio on this transmission. The spur on this transmission is it's not even a transmission, it's just a differential. The spur on it goes directly to the differential, which is nothing than just attached to the axle. So it's pretty much straight, straight drive or direct drive, whatever. It goes from the motor pinion to the spur, and that's it. That's what turns the wheels. So It's a ridiculously high gear ratio. So if I was to use 4S with these tires, they will balloon out of proportion and blow up. Now, why do I tell you that? Because when I tried a 2S just to test it, these guys ballooned to almost twice their size. I don't want to stretch it any further than that. I think it's going to look really cool. Why? Because dragsters, usually their tires balloon and, you know, it looks like a dragster. That's kind of cool. But again, another thing, I want it to balloon in the sand because they'll be able to grip deeper in that sand. And because this guy is so low to the ground, it's going to help to keep him off the sand and it's not going to drag. Of course, I'm going to have to put a little spoiler or something in the front to keep it from sinking into the sand. I'll take that bumper off when I go into the sand. But that's pretty much the idea that I'm going with. I'm going to do the 4S for street. I'm going to build a little sled type thing in the back and in the front for the sand. Put these tires and run on 2S. And hopefully I'm not going to break too many parts. All in all, I think it's going to be really cool. I think it looks pretty nice as a dragster. Of course, you know, your scales guys are going to come out here and say, well, it's not long enough. It doesn't have to be. It looks cool. It's a toy. Come on, enjoy life. Spoiler came off of one of those eBay truggies that I had on my other videos. I had a bunch of those laying around. I decided just to get that spoiler and adapt it to it. All I did was I went ahead and cut this little pipe here that originally was there for support. And I put bolts from one side to the other and that little piece in the middle to hold the top of the spoiler. And then I went ahead and put a little something here in the back, metal plates, like they look like L's, and that attached to the bottom of the spoiler. A good thing about the spoiler is adjustable, so if I can actually adjust it to whatever speed I need to go, it could actually be functional. Now, we are yet to see that once I start achieving higher speeds. I also have another one of these spoilers, which I made an adapter for, to put in front of the car. Now, it looks really ugly. I mean, hideous, I would even venture into saying. But, if it actually works and helps me to achieve higher speeds, I will use it for a video or two. Again, don't race against anybody. I don't have anybody around here that has one of these cars, which kind of takes the fun away from having this car because it is a drag car. You need somebody else to be there with the same kind of car to race against them to make it any kind of fun. But because of that, I'm going to have to find other ways to have fun with it. So that's my way of doing it. I want to achieve the highest speed possible with this motor, ESC, and battery and car setup. I am hoping to reach 100. That is my max goal. I have different pinions that I could use if the one that it has doesn't reach that speed. I know aerodynamics are going to affect me a lot. That's why I have that spoiler in the back. And more than likely I will be having to use the one in the front. And even then, I don't even know if this thing is going to be aerodynamic enough to reach that speed. More than likely, this thing's going to flip. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to reach 50 on this thing. But I'm going to try. And I'm going to try and keep it interesting for you guys. Because I've been gone for a long, long time. And I'm pretty sure you guys wouldn't mind a few videos of outtakes with me flipping this thing over and maybe breaking a part or two. And I don't know, just trying to keep it fun. I'm guessing the videos with the sand, which I don't even know where the heck I put. Oh, there they are. Videos with those tires, they're going to be really awesome. I might have to figure out a way to raise the suspension in the front. But when I do get a chance to go to the beach, which is really close to my new house, I will be posting videos of that thing with those massive tires ballooning, and hopefully you guys will have a lot of fun with that. If you have any questions on the stupid ass things I did, you know, ridiculous things I've done to this car, please let me know. I went ahead and put a Metal Gear servo. You guys know I love Metal Gear servos. I still have the servo saver on it, the plastic one. But I will have to get into details on how the heck I fitted that servo in there, because the Traxxas servo has a proprietary the size, and it was hard to get that thing to fit in there. But I'll fill you in on how I did that if you guys have any questions. Anyways, I'm a little sick. I'm sorry. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will be posting more. Thanks.